Good morning. I'm Erin Campbell with Beacon Financial Strategies, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about whether or not you should consider a Roth conversion. First, I thought we would talk a little bit about what a Roth conversion is. So a Roth conversion is when you take money from an IRA and you pay taxes on it, but then you move it from the IRA to the Roth IRA. And the benefit of this is that a Roth IRA is never taxed again. So when you take distributions from a Roth, you're not taxed on it. Also, a Roth IRA is tax exempt just like an IRA. So as you earn money inside the account, you don't pay taxes on it. Another benefit of a Roth is that you don't have to take required minimum distributions. So when you're 72, you're required to take money out of your IRA or your 401k, and you're required to pay taxes on it. So with a Roth IRA, you're not required to take a distribution from that account at any point during your life. Now, when your heirs inherit a Roth IRA, they will be required to take distributions, but they won't have to pay taxes on it. So that's a huge benefit. So the next question I always get is who should consider a Roth conversion? So first of all, I need to say that I don't typically recommend that you move an entire IRA account into a Roth IRA. We're not looking to move the entire account over. However, I do like to think about, small little conversions from time to time. And so if you're temporarily like in a low tax bracket, maybe you've retired, maybe you lost your job, maybe you just had lower income this year, that might be a good time to do it. Another reason to think about a Roth conversion is if you have unused deductions. So you've got maybe a year where you gave a lot to charity, or a year where there was a lot of medical expenses. That might be a year where we would consider, hey, let's go ahead and generate some income and take money from the IRA and move it to a Roth. One of my favorite times to think about a Roth conversion is after you retire, but before you start Social Security and required minimum distributions. Typically, people in that category have several years where they can take Roth conversions year after year, a little bit at a time, and spread the taxes out. But that's a good time to do it. The next question is, how in the world, why would I want to accelerate income taxes? It just doesn't seem to make sense. You hear your whole life you want to defer income taxes. Well, one of the reasons is if you think you're going to be in a higher tax bracket in the future. So maybe after 72, hey, I'm gonna have to take large distributions from my IRA. It might be a good time to think about, hey, I'm in a lower bracket. Let's go ahead and generate some taxes at a lower rate. It can also reduce your future required minimum distribution. So that would also help. And another reason, and I hear this from a lot of people, is I know my kids are going to inherit my IRA or my Roth. If you think they're going to be in a higher tax bracket than you are, then maybe from a family planning standpoint, you'll say, oh, I'd rather take some of the taxes on myself and kind of keep it from my kids having to pay it. So that's another reason. One of the reasons why we're really talking about this a lot in this year is because we know that in the future, tax rates are likely to go up. The current tax law is set to expire in 2025. So in 2026, at the very minimum, we expect that we will go back to the 2017 tax brackets. And so this chart right here shows you kind of what that looks like. So let's say you were in the 22% tax bracket now. Well, we would expect you to be in the 25% tax bracket in the future. And so just thinking about that, you're going to save 3%, even if the income is exactly the same as it is now, just in thinking about what the future tax brackets are going to be. So, we look over here, the married 10% and 12% is going to become 10 and 15. The 22 is going to become 25. The 24 is going to become 28, and to some degree 33, and so forth and so on. The 35 is going to become 39.6. So, and just thinking about that, I think a lot of people would say, gosh, I'd rather go ahead and accelerate income now, move it to a Roth that won't be taxed in the future. And that seems like it's a pretty good deal. So overall, I just wanted to introduce this concept. We're in the process of thinking about year-end tax planning, as we always do here. The one thing to understand is that Roth conversions have to be completed by the end of the year. So it's something that we're thinking about. But if this is something that you're interested in, please let us know, because we're happy to discuss it in more detail. And we're happy to think through whether or not this makes sense for you. So you see there, we've got my number or my email and Stephanie's email. And we're happy to chat with you in more detail. If you have any questions, please let us know. Look forward to talking with you soon. Take care.